All right, so today we're going deep on this company, formerly Worldcoin,
Hmm.
and their goal is to create like a digital identity system,
Right.
and they're going to be using iris scans for that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. They're calling it a super app, and I
Yeah.
think it has some pretty fascinating implications, especially for like tech folks like
Yeah,
ourselves.
like us,
Well,
definitely. So
yeah.
basically what they're proposing to do is build this network where your iris pattern
Right.
becomes like your passport.
Exactly. It's like your digital fingerprint, but for your eye.
Right. And that passport is tied to cryptocurrency called WLD.
Uh-huh.
So you've got biometrics, you've got blockchain, you've got a
Yeah.
super app that kind of wants to do everything.
It's ambitious for sure. One of their big selling points is this idea of anonymity. They
Right.
say you can verify that you're a real person without actually revealing your identity.
So you go up to this device, it's called an orb,
Right.
it scans your iris, and then you have a unique digital ID that's tied to a crypto wallet.
Exactly. Sort of like a proof of humanity without giving up all your personal info.
So they're saying it's a solution for like
Yeah.
bot accounts.
Spots, fake profiles.
Password manipulation,
Yeah.
all this stuff.
All the big problems online these days.
Yeah. They even mentioned the potential for like a universal basic income.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a whole other
With this.
can of worms.
So using this to distribute funds
Huh. So,
directly to people.
yeah, it's definitely a bold vision. I mean, there's no denying like
Yeah.
the potential upsides here.
Hmm.
But we got to approach this with a bit of skepticism too,
Sure.
They're not launching in the US yet. They're focusing on countries with
Oh, really?
potentially less strict data privacy laws.
Huh. That's interesting. It makes you wonder if they're trying to like
Yeah,
avoid certain
sidestep some regulations maybe.
scrutiny.
Yeah. And it's worth noting too that their presentation had some disclaimers.
They said a lot of this is still speculative and like
Mm.
could change as the tech develops.
So there's a lot of what ifs right now.
Totally. It feels very early stages.
Yeah.
We're just starting to grasp what this could all mean.
Okay. So a lot of unknowns, but a lot of possibilities too.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to talk about it now,
Yeah.
to really explore the good and the bad and the ethical questions too.
Especially because they're talking about this super app.
Right.
So something that,
Like WeChat in China
Yeah.
or what Elon's trying to do with X.
so one single platform for everything.
Exactly.
There.
Messaging payments, social networking,
Wow.
maybe even government services all tied to your ID.
That is a wild thought.
It is both exciting and kind of scary.
Yeah. So I guess the big question is, would you scan your eye for this?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
What are you willing to trade for convenience and for
Yeah.
these potential benefits?
What are those trade-offs?
Yeah. It's something we all need to be thinking about as this tech evolves.
Okay. Well, I'm particularly interested in like the technical side
Okay.
of how they're going to make this anonymity thing work
Right.
while still verifying identity.
Right. Yeah. That's the tricky part.
Yeah. It sounds like they're relying on cryptography and blockchain to do that.
Yeah. It's all about zero-knowledge proofs. So basically,
Oh, well.
you can prove you have certain info without revealing the info itself.
It's like this constant tug of war between
Yeah.
security and convenience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with something like World, where you're talking about your biometric data,
Yeah.
it's even more crucial to think about those trade-offs, for tech folks like yourself.
Right.
Understanding how these things work under the hood is so important.
Yeah.
Like they're relying on these zero-knowledge proofs, which in theory are really cool.
Yeah.
But any real-world implementation, you got to think about vulnerabilities.
Because you could have the best encryption
Exactly.
and this still have,
Bugs, exploits, human error. I mean,
right, a weak link.
there's always something.
Exactly.
And then there's the question of, okay, so the scans are anonymized.
Right.
Where's that data going?
Yeah.
How's it being stored?
Who has access?
Even a super secure centralized database
Yeah.
is still a potential target.
Right. For hackers, for governments.
Exactly.
And then there's like mission creep.
Oh, yeah. The classic mission creep.
So it starts as verify you're human.
Uh-huh.
And then suddenly it's like,
It's collecting all this data about you.
you're going to track everything you do.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah. So even if we trust World's intentions now,
Right.
who knows what'll happen in 5-10 years?
Exactly. Things change, priorities shift.
Mm.
What seems harmless today could be a problem tomorrow.
So that's why having strong data privacy regulations
Oh, absolutely.
and like independent oversight is so important.
We need checks and balances.
Yeah. It's interesting that they're focusing on countries with
Yeah.
weaker privacy laws.
It makes you wonder, right?
Makes you think.
Maybe they're trying to avoid scrutiny.
Right.
It's definitely a strategic choice.
But it also raises concerns about,
Yeah.
like, vulnerable populations who might not even
Totally. It's not just about the tech itself.
Right.
It's about the implementation, the context, the potential consequences.
Yeah. And especially when you're talking about something like human identity.
This is fundamental stuff.
So critical thinking, healthy skepticism, super important
Always.
when evaluating any new tech.
Especially one that's trying to change the game like this.
Yeah. And for our listeners who are really into the tech side of things, I think it's worth like digging into the specifics of how they're using these zero-knowledge proofs.
It's really clever how they're doing it.
Yeah.
But zero-knowledge proofs aren't magic, you know?
Okay.
They rely on complex math, and if those assumptions are wrong,
Right.
or if the protocol's implemented poorly,
The whole thing falls apart.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So for our techie folks out there,
Yeah.
do some research. Understand how it works.
Learn about the limitations.
And it's also worth looking into other approaches, you know?
Look at
There are other ways to do online identity verification.
Like what?
Things like decentralized identifiers or blockchain-based credentials.
So there might be other options out there.
Exactly. Maybe you're not comfortable with the iris scan, but there might be another solution that fits better for you.
Okay.
The main takeaway here is that the future of online identity is still wide open.
Yeah.
And it's on us to engage with these technologies, ask the hard questions, and help shape the digital world we want to live in.
Right. So being informed, being engaged, being skeptical.
All crucial.
Okay. Well, I think this is a good spot to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
We've gone from the basics of how this system works to the potential benefits, the risks.
The tech behind it.
Yeah. And we even got into some of the nitty-gritty details.
For the techies out there.
For the techies. So hopefully we've given you a lot to think about.
Absolutely.
And, you know, as you navigate this whole landscape of online identity and digital security, just remember to
think critically, ask questions.
Be informed. Okay, so we've been like really digging into the specifics, you know, of World's plan, the tech, the benefits, the risks. But for our tech-savvy listeners, there's another layer here that's worth talking about.
The design choices.
Yeah, like the architecture.
Yeah.
The decisions they've made.
Exactly. And those choices have ripple effects, you know?
Right.
They impact the whole tech landscape.
For example, building this whole thing around a cryptocurrency.
Right.
That's a big deal.
It brings in all these concepts like decentralization, tokenomics, speculation.
So people who are deep in the crypto world,
Yeah.
this might be familiar territory.
Yeah, right.
But for those who aren't,
It adds a whole layer of complexity.
it's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder about the long term, you know?
Right. Like, will WLD be stable?
Yep.
What if the price crashes?
What happens to the whole ecosystem?
Yeah. Lots of questions there.
So it's crucial to understand the economics of it all.
Especially for our tech-savvy listeners.
Yeah.
You got to look beyond the hype.
Read the white paper.
Understand how the tokens are distributed.
Analyze the risks and rewards.
Think like an investor.
Exactly.
And then there's the whole developer side of this.
Oh, yeah. World is basically creating a new platform.
Right.
A new space for innovation.
It's like the early days of the App Store.
Exactly.
Or like when Ethereum came out.
You have this whole new landscape for developers.
People building things we haven't even thought of yet.
It's exciting. And for people with a technical background, is an opportunity to be at the forefront.
To shape the future of this platform.
Maybe even influence the direction of the tech itself.
So it's not just about using the tech.
Yeah.
It's about building it too.
And I think this brings us back to the big picture.
Okay.
World's vision, whether it works or not. It's a sign of where we are as a society.
Right.
We're relying more and more on technology.
Right.
We want these seamless digital experiences.
But we're still trying to figure out
Yeah.
how to balance security, privacy, and convenience.
It's a constant change.
It's a reminder that tech isn't just about the code. It's about people and the choices we make.
And the impacts those choices have.
Right. On everyone.
So as you continue to explore the world of tech, as you learn about World and all these other innovations, remember to ask questions, think critically.
Be informed.
Use your knowledge to shape a better digital future.
Well said. We hope this deep dive has given everyone a good understanding of World's plan and the potential it has.
The good and the bad.
But more importantly, we hope it sparked your curiosity.
Keep learning, keep exploring.
The world of tech is constantly changing.
And it's up to us to shape it.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.